My name is Laura Bennett, a single mom from Boston, carrying a story that's heavy with pain and resilience. I've spent years building a life for my daughter, Emily, who's 14 now, a piano prodigy with a spark that could light up any room. But she also battles a rare autoimmune condition, one that demands daily medication to keep her strong enough to chase her dreams. Those dreams led her to the stage at Berklee College of Music, a chance to prove her talent to the world. I thought we were ready, until my own sister shattered everything. Jessica, my older sister, was always the golden child, the one I could never measure up to. Growing up, her shadow loomed large, and her success felt like a weight on my shoulders. I chose a different path, marrying young, becoming a mom, pouring my heart into Emily. But Jessica's judgment never stopped. She saw my choices as failures, and Emily's rising star seemed to threaten her perfect world. I trusted her, though, like you trust family, believing blood meant loyalty. I was wrong. This isn't just a story of a recital gone wrong. It's about betrayal so deep it cuts through the bonds you thought were unbreakable. Jessica didn't just undermine Emily, she risked her life, swapping her medication for sugar pills to teach her humility. The fallout left us broken, fighting to rebuild what was stolen. Yet, through the pain, Emily and I found a strength we didn't know we had, a bond forged in love and survival. You might know this kind of hurt, when someone you love turns against you, when loyalty crumbles. That's why I'm sharing this, to remind you you're not alone. Have you ever faced a betrayal that changed everything? I want to hear your story in the comments. Hit subscribe to follow our journey, because this isn't just about revenge, it's about rising above, about protecting what matters most. Emily's music, her courage, and our fight for justice are just the beginning. Stick with us to see how we turned heartbreak into hope. Healing from betrayal is a quiet, fierce kind of strength. I'm Laura Bennett, a single mom from Boston, and this is how my daughter Emily and I rebuilt our lives after my sister Jessica's cruel act nearly broke us. Emily, 14, a piano prodigy, collapsed at her Berklee recital when Jessica swapped her medication, risking her life for humility. The scars lingered, but love became our foundation. 6 months later, Emily found her music again, playing a piece she wrote, after the storm, at a community center. Her notes were tentative but brave, a spark reigniting her soul. I turned our pain into purpose, starting a support group for parents of kids with chronic illnesses. Sharing our story helped others, and Emily saw my fight as her own. Jessica sent a letter, apologizing, but Emily chose not to read it. I don't need her words, she said, her voice steady. Her resilience taught me family isn't blood, it's love, safety, the people who lift you up. We moved forward, our new apartment filled with her music, our laughter, a piano that sang of second chances. This isn't just revenge, it's redemption. Jessica's betrayal tried to dim Emily's light, but we shone brighter. Have you rebuilt from a wound that felt too deep? Maybe it was family, a loss, a fight for hope. I know that path, that stubborn will to rise. Emily's courage became my guide, her music our victory. Share your story in the comments, it helps us feel connected. Subscribe to hear more stories of resilience, because our scars tell a truth, love and strength can heal what hate tried to break. Growing up in Jessica's shadow was like living under a cloud that never lifted. I'm Laura Bennett, and this is the part of our story where the seeds of betrayal were sown, long before my sister's actions nearly cost my daughter her life. Jessica, 3 years my senior, was the golden child in our Boston home. She was brilliant, driven, the kind of kid who aced every test and won every award. Valedictorian at 18, accepted to Yale, now a corporate lawyer in Chicago with a picture-perfect life, husband, kids, a house that screamed success. Our mother, Patricia, held her up as the gold standard, her pride in Jessica as sharp as a blade. "Why can't you be more like your sister?" was the refrain of my childhood, echoing through every report card, every small failure. It wasn't just words, it was a weight, a constant reminder that I'd never measure up. I was the quieter one, the dreamer, not the star. While Jessica dazzled, I stumbled through school, my B's and C's paling next to her straight A's. Our father, Robert, was kind but distant, buried in work, leaving Mom to shape us with her comparisons. I remember being 15, pouring my heart into a high school debate team presentation, only to find my notes missing right before I went on. Jessica, a senior, was in the audience, smirking as I fumbled. Later, I found my notes in her backpack, but when I confronted her, she laughed it off. "You didn't need to win, Laura. It's not your thing." Mom brushed it aside, saying I was too sensitive. That was Jessica, always one step ahead, always ready to nudge me back. I thought I'd escaped her shadow when I chose my own path. At 22, I married Michael, a sweet guy with big dreams but little follow-through. By 23, I was pregnant with Emily, my daughter, my light. Jessica didn't hide her disapproval. "You're throwing your life away," she told me at a family dinner, her voice dripping with that fake concern she'd perfected. Mom nodded along, her silence louder than words. They saw my choices as a surrender, a failure to chase the ambition Jessica embodied. When Michael and I struggled financially, Jessica's visits grew rare, her calls laced with pity. "Are you sure you're ready for motherhood?" she'd ask, as if I hadn't already proven I was. When Michael left me for someone else when Emily was 5, the divorce was brutal. I was alone, raising a daughter on a tight budget, working 2 jobs to keep us afloat. Jessica's life, meanwhile, seemed untouchable. She married David, a surgeon, and had 2 kids, Sophie and Ethan, both high achievers like her. Their Brooklyn brownstone, their perfect family photos, they were everything I couldn't afford to dream of. Mom would drop everything to babysit Sophie and Ethan, but when I needed help with Emily, she'd make excuses. "I'm busy, Laura," she'd say, or "You'll figure it out." She'd rave about Sophie's debate wins or Ethan's science fair medals but forget Emily's recitals. It hurt, but I told myself it didn't matter. I had Emily, and she was enough. Looking back, I see how the resentment built, not just in me but in Jessica. She wasn't used to sharing the spotlight, and as Emily's talents started to shine, something in Jessica darkened. I didn't see it then, but those early moments, her smirk at my debate, her judgment of my life, were warnings. She couldn't stand anyone eclipsing her, not even a child. That's what makes this story so painful. It wasn't just about me failing to meet her standards, it was about Emily, my daughter, becoming a threat to her perfect world. Have you ever felt like you were stuck in someone's shadow, always chasing their approval? Maybe it was a sibling, a parent, or someone you thought loved you. I know that ache, that quiet sting of never being enough. I thought I could leave it behind, focus on Emily, give her the love I never got. But Jessica's shadow followed us, and what she did next was unthinkable. If this hits home, share your story in the comments. It helps to know we're not alone. And subscribe to hear how this betrayal unfolded, because this isn't just about revenge, it's about fighting for what's right, for my daughter, for us. Emily was my light in the darkest days. I'm Laura Bennett, a single mom from Boston, and this is the part of our story where my daughter's incredible gift emerged, only to be tested by a devastating blow. Emily was 7 when I first saw her magic. We were at my friend Sarah's house, an old upright piano tucked in the corner. Emily, curious as ever, sat down and started picking out a melody she'd heard on the radio. Her tiny fingers danced across the keys, no lessons, no sheet music, just pure instinct. Sarah, a music teacher, pulled me aside, her eyes wide. "Laura, your daughter has a gift. Don't let it go to waste." That moment changed everything. I saw a spark in Emily I'd never seen before, a joy that made my struggles feel worth it. We couldn't afford a piano, not on my receptionist's salary, scraping by after the divorce. but I found a beat-up keyboard at a garage sale for $20. Emily didn't care that it was scratched or missing a key. She played for hours, teaching herself songs from YouTube tutorials, her face glowing with focus. I'd watch her, exhausted from late shifts, and feel a pride so fierce it hurt. She wasn't just good, she was extraordinary. By 8, she was winning local competitions, her name in the community paper. Sarah connected us with Ms. Thompson, a kind piano teacher who saw Emily's potential and charged us half her rate. Under her guidance, Emily blossomed. When she played, she wasn't just a shy kid anymore, she was radiant, confident, alive. Her music became her voice, a way to rise above the chaos of our life. Then came the heartbreak. At 9, Emily started fading. She'd wake up exhausted, her joints aching, fever spiking out of nowhere. I thought it was a flu, but it lingered. Months of doctor visits, tests, and sleepless nights led us to Dr. Carter, a specialist who delivered the news like a punch. Emily had a rare autoimmune condition, one that could steal her energy, her strength, even her ability to play if we didn't manage it carefully. She needed daily medication, a white tablet twice a day to keep her body from attacking itself. The cost? $500 a month, more than our rent. Insurance covered half, but the rest was on me. I took a second job bartending weekends, my hands shaking as I poured drinks, praying I could keep up. Emily knew we were struggling. One night, she climbed into my lap, her voice small. "Will I ever play piano again, Mom?" I held her tight, tears burning my eyes. "Yes, sweetheart. We'll fight for this. I promise." That promise became my lifeline. I learned everything about her condition, packed her pill case with precision, drove her to lessons even when I hadn't slept. Emily fought too. She'd practiced through fatigue, her determination fiercer than her illness. By 10, she was back on stage, her performances drawing crowds. People whispered, "Prodigy," and for the first time, I felt like I was doing something right. My sister Jessica, though, saw it differently. She'd tense up when Emily was praised, her smile forced. "She's good for her age," she'd say, or, "It's nice she has a hobby." Her words stung, but I ignored them. Emily's talent was undeniable, a light Jessica couldn't dim. Or so I thought. Looking back, I see how Emily's gift threatened Jessica's need to be the best. My sister, the Yale grad, the lawyer, wasn't used to sharing the spotlight, especially not with a child. That jealousy, buried deep, would lead her to do the unthinkable. This isn't just about a mother and daughter chasing a dream. It's about how close we came to losing it all because of envy dressed as love. Have you ever watched someone you love find their passion, only to see it tested by forces beyond your control? Maybe it was illness, doubt, or someone who couldn't stand their light. I know that fear, that fight. Share your story in the comments, it helps to know we're not alone. Subscribe to hear what happened next, because this betrayal runs deeper than you can imagine. Emily's music, her courage, kept us going, but the worst was yet to come. Jealousy can simmer quietly, unnoticed, until it boils over into something unforgivable. I'm Laura Bennett, a single mom from Boston, and this is where my sister Jessica's envy of my daughter Emily's talent began to poison our family. Emily was 14 now, her piano gift shining brighter every day. Local competitions, features in the community paper, standing ovations at school recitals, her music was undeniable. She wasn't just my daughter, she was a prodigy, a light that drew people in. But with every note she played, Jessica's resentment grew, a shadow creeping closer. I didn't see it clearly then, but looking back, the signs were there, sharp and undeniable. Jessica, at 38, had built a life most would envy. A corporate lawyer in Chicago, married to David, a surgeon, with 2 high-achieving kids, Sophie and Ethan. Their Brooklyn brownstone, their curated family photos, it was a world apart from my modest apartment and endless bills. Yet, as Emily's star rose, Jessica's perfect facade cracked. I noticed it first at family gatherings. When relatives praised Emily's latest recital, Jessica's smile would tighten, her eyes narrowing just enough to betray her. She'd pivot the conversation, boasting about Sophie's debate team victories or Ethan's science fair medals. "That's nice, Emily," she'd say, her tone flat, "but Sophie just won regionals." It was subtle, but it stung. Emily, always polite, would nod, her confidence dimming. It wasn't just words. Jessica's actions spoke louder. At our cousin Rachel's wedding, Emily was invited to play a piece during the reception. She practiced for weeks, her excitement infectious. But Jessica intervened, suggesting Sophie sing instead. "It'll be less stressful for Emily," she said, her voice dripping with false concern. I pushed back, insisting Emily perform, but the moment left a mark. Emily overheard Jessica's comment and later asked me, "Does Aunt Jessica think I'm not good enough?" I reassured her, but the doubt lingered in her hazel eyes. I should have confronted Jessica then, but I didn't want to rock the boat. Family, I thought, was supposed to lift each other up. The tension escalated over the past year. Jessica's comments grew sharper, more pointed. At a family barbecue, she cornered Emily, asking about her grades. "Music's great, but without discipline, it's just a hobby," she said, knowing Emily's health issues and practice schedules sometimes left her struggling in school. Emily blushed, stammering a response, while Jessica smirked, satisfied. I stepped in, defending her, but the damage was done. Later, Emily told me, "I don't want to brag about piano anymore. It makes Aunt Jessica mad." My heart ached. Emily's joy, her passion, was being chipped away by someone who should have celebrated her. Jessica's resentment wasn't just about Emily's talent. It was about me, too. She saw my fierce support for Emily, driving 2 hours for lessons, rearranging my life around her practice, as a challenge to her own parenting. "You're spoiling her," she told me once, her voice low and accusing. "You're making her think she's special, Laura. That's dangerous." Dangerous? I was stunned. Emily wasn't arrogant, she was driven, pouring her soul into every note. But to Jessica, that confidence was a threat, a mirror reflecting her own need to control the narrative of success. I brushed it off, telling myself she was just competitive, that she'd never cross a line. I was wrong. The final warning came at a family dinner, months before the recital that would change everything. Emily, glowing with pride, shared news of her latest competition win. Jessica's response was chilling. "You're getting awfully confident, Emily. Sometimes kids need to learn humility before the real world chews them up." The table went quiet. I felt my temper flare, but I held it in, not wanting to upset Mom. Patricia, as always, sided with Jessica, murmuring, "She's right, Laura. Balance is important." Emily shrank in her seat, pushing her food around her plate. On the drive home, she asked, "Am I too proud, Mom?" I pulled over, my hands trembling. "No, sweetheart. You're talented, hardworking, and you deserve to shine. Don't let anyone dull your light." That moment haunts me. I saw Jessica's jealousy, her need to put Emily in her place, but I didn't act. I thought love, family ties, would keep us safe. But Jessica's envy wasn't just words or sidelong glances anymore. It was a plan, a calculated move to dim Emily's light for good. What she did next wasn't just cruel, it was dangerous, a betrayal that nearly cost my daughter everything. This story isn't just about revenge, it's about the cost of ignoring the shadows in those we trust. Have you ever seen someone's jealousy turn toxic, targeting someone you love? Maybe a sibling, a friend, someone who couldn't stand another's success. I know that pain, that sinking feeling when you realize love isn't enough to protect you. Emily's talent was her strength, but it made her a target. Share your story in the comments, it helps to know we're not alone. Subscribe to hear how this jealousy turned into something far worse, because what Jessica did at Emily's recital wasn't just a mistake. It was a choice, one that shattered our family and set us on a path we never expected. Dreams can feel so close, yet so fragile, when everything you've fought for hangs in the balance. I'm Laura Bennett, a single mom from Boston, and this is the moment when my daughter Emily's talent was poised to change our lives, before my sister Jessica's betrayal nearly destroyed it all. Emily was 14, a piano prodigy whose music had carried us through years of hardship. Her rare autoimmune condition demanded daily medication, a constant reminder of how delicate her health was. But her spirit? That was unbreakable. When a letter from Berklee College of Music arrived, it felt like a miracle, a chance for Emily to shine on a stage that could open doors to her future. The letter came in March, embossed with Berklee's logo, inviting Emily to perform at their Young Artists Showcase. This wasn't just another recital. It was New England's premier stage for young musicians, attended by college scouts, scholarship boards, even Juilliard representatives. Ms. Carter, Emily's piano teacher, called me, her voice trembling with excitement. "Laura, this could be Emily's ticket to a bigger world," she said. I held that letter, my heart swelling with pride. Emily had earned a shot at something extraordinary, something I'd never dared dream for myself. But with it came a weight. Her health had to hold steady, her performance perfect, no room for mistakes. Emily chose a piece that matched her fire, Rachmaninoff's Prelude in G minor. It was bold, intricate, the kind of music that demanded everything from a pianist. At 14, she was young for it, but Ms. Carter believed she could pull it off. Emily threw herself into practice, her fingers dancing over our old keyboard at dawn, notes filling our cramped apartment. She'd play until her joints ached, then rest, take her medication, and start again. I watched her, amazed by her discipline. "I want them to hear me, Mom," she told me one night, her eyes fierce. "Not just the music, but me." I hugged her, promising we'd make it happen, no matter what. My days revolved around her. I double-checked her pill case, those white tablets keeping her illness at bay. I saved for a navy blue gown for her performance, skipping my own groceries to afford it. I drove 2 hours each way for her rehearsals, my hands stiff from late shifts at the bar. But fear lingered. Emily's condition was stable, but flare-ups could strike, fever, dizziness, weakness. I'd wake from nightmares, my heart pounding, picturing her collapsing on stage, the audience silent. I'd shake it off, tell myself it was just stress. We were so close. Berklee was her chance to prove she was more than her illness, more than the struggles we'd faced. Emily's preparation wasn't just about music. It was about belief. Miss Carter worked with her on stage presence, teaching her to walk with poise, to breathe through nerves. At home, we'd practice her bow, laughing as she exaggerated it, turning our living room into her stage. But doubts crept in. Jessica's comments about Emily's overconfidence echoed in my mind. I worried I was pushing her too hard, that one misstep could break her spirit. Emily sensed it. One evening, as I tucked her in, she grabbed my hand. "Mom, I'm not scared. This is what I'm meant to do." Her words steadied me. She was ready, and I had to trust her. The showcase loomed, and our routine grew obsessive. I'd lay out her medication like a ritual, counting pills, checking dates. We rehearsed her schedule: breakfast, medication, warm-up, performance. Emily polished her piece, her Rachmaninoff so powerful it gave me chills. Neighbors knocked, drawn by the music, asking when her big day was. Even my mom, Patricia, usually focused on Jessica's kids, called to wish Emily luck, though her tone felt rehearsed. Jessica, though, stayed silent. I noticed her absence, her lack of questions about the recital. I thought maybe she was busy, or maybe she'd finally accepted Emily's talent. I didn't suspect she was planning something far darker. Looking back, those weeks were a calm before the storm. Emily's dream was taking shape, a fragile hope we'd built together. But Jessica's jealousy, that quiet poison, was already at work. She couldn't stand Emily's light, her confidence, the way I poured my soul into her success. What she did at Berkeley wasn't just an act of spite, it was a calculated move to shatter that dream. This isn't just a revenge story, it's about how close we came to losing everything we'd fought for, because of someone I trusted. Have you ever poured your heart into a dream, only to feel it slipping through your fingers? Maybe it was your own, or someone you love, a moment where hope felt both thrilling and terrifying. I know that edge, that hunger to protect something precious. Emily's music was her heart, and Berkeley was her chance to share it. But the shadows were closing in. Share your story in the comments, it helps to know we're not alone. Subscribe to hear how this dream turned to nightmare, because what Jessica did next wasn't just cruel. It was unthinkable, a betrayal that changed us forever. Some truths are too painful to face until they force you to see them. I'm Laura Bennett, a single mom from Boston, and this is the moment I ignored the warning signs of my sister Jessica's jealousy, signs that would lead to a betrayal so cruel it nearly cost my daughter Emily her life. Emily was 14, her piano talent set to shine at the Berklee College of Music's Young Artists Showcase, a dream we'd poured our hearts into. Her rare autoimmune condition made every step fragile, but we were ready, or so I thought. 3 weeks before the recital, a family dinner at my mother's house revealed a darkness in Jessica I should have confronted, but I didn't. That choice haunts me still. The dinner was at Patricia's, our mother, in her tidy Newton home. Emily, glowing with excitement, clutched her Berklee invitation, eager to share her news. She'd been practicing Rachmaninoff's Prelude in G minor for months, her fingers weaving magic despite her illness. I was proud, watching her light up as she told the table about the showcase, about scouts from Juilliard who might be there. But Jessica, sitting across from us, barely looked up. Her fork scraped her plate, her face tight. "That's a big deal, Emily," she said, her voice flat. "Are you sure you're not in over your head?" The words landed like a slap. Emily's smile faltered, her hands twisting in her lap. I shot Jessica a look, but she just sipped her wine, unbothered. Patricia didn't help. Instead of celebrating Emily, she turned to Jessica's daughter, Sophie, praising her math Olympiad win. "Now that's something practical," she said, her tone dismissive of Emily's music. I felt my chest tighten, the old wound of Mom's favoritism reopening. Emily shrank in her seat, pushing her mashed potatoes around. I reached for her hand under the table, squeezing it. "You're going to shine, sweetheart," I whispered, but her eyes stayed down. Jessica caught it all, her lips curling into a faint, satisfied smirk. I should have called her out, demanded to know why she couldn't just be happy for us. But I swallowed my anger, telling myself family dinners weren't the place for fights. Jessica's comments didn't stop there. As we cleared plates, she pulled Emily aside, her voice low but sharp. "You seem awfully confident," she said. "Kids your age need humility, or the real world will crush you." I overheard, my blood boiling. Emily's face flushed, her confidence crumbling. "I'm just trying my best," she mumbled, but Jessica cut her off. "Best isn't enough if you're not grounded." I stepped in, my voice firm. "She's grounded, Jessica. Let her be." Jessica shrugged, that fake smile back, but her eyes were cold. Emily barely spoke the rest of the night, her joy snuffed out like a candle. Later, as we said goodbyes, I caught Jessica on the porch, phone pressed to her ear. Her voice was low, urgent. "She needs to be brought down a peg," she said, glancing back at the house. My stomach twisted. Was she talking about Emily? I stood frozen, the night air chilling my skin. I wanted to confront her, to ask who she was plotting against, but Patricia called me inside, and the moment slipped away. On the drive home, Emily was quiet, her head against the window. "Am I too proud, Mom?" she asked, her voice small. I pulled over, my heart breaking. "No, Emily. You're talented, hardworking, and you deserve this. Don't let anyone make you feel small." She nodded, but the doubt in her eyes lingered. I replay that dinner in my head, wishing I'd acted. Jessica's words weren't just jealousy, they were a warning, a glimpse of the plan forming in her mind. She saw Emily's talent, her confidence, as a threat to her perfect world, a world where she and her kids were always the stars. I thought family meant love, protection, but Jessica's envy was a poison, and I let it spread. What she did at Berkeley wasn't a spur-of-the-moment mistake. It was deliberate, a strike meant to shatter Emily's dream and my trust. This isn't just a revenge story, it's a lesson in seeing the truth before it's too late. I ignored the signs, Jessica's smirk, her chilling words, that phone call, because I wanted to believe family wouldn't hurt us. But they can, and they do. Have you ever missed a warning, a red flag from someone you trusted, only to regret it later? Maybe it was a sibling, a friend, someone whose envy turned toxic. I know that guilt, that ache of what-ifs. Emily's light was my everything, and I failed to protect it. Share your story in the comments, it helps to know we're not alone. Subscribe to hear how Jessica's plan unfolded, because what she did next wasn't just cruel. It was unthinkable, a betrayal that broke us and set us on a path of reckoning. Some moments burn into your soul, moments when the world you built crumbles in seconds. I'm Laura Bennett, a single mom from Boston, and this is the day my daughter Emily's dream turned into a nightmare, the day my sister Jessica's betrayal shattered our lives. Emily was 14, a piano prodigy, set to perform at Berklee College of Music's Young Artists Showcase. Her rare autoimmune condition made every day a battle, but her music was her triumph. We'd poured everything into this recital, months of practice, endless sacrifices, my every prayer for her health to hold. But in one cruel act, Jessica turned our hope into horror, and I'll never forget the moment it all fell apart. The morning of the recital felt like a dream. Emily woke up nervous but determined, her hazel eyes bright with focus. We went through our ritual, blueberry pancakes, her favorite, and her medication, those white pills that kept her illness at bay. I checked her pill case twice, like always, my hands steady despite my racing heart. She wore her navy blue gown, the one I'd saved for, and practiced her Rachmaninoff prelude in G minor one last time on our old keyboard. "I'm ready, Mom," she said, her voice strong. I hugged her, my pride so fierce it hurt. We drove to Berkeley, the glass-walled performance center gleaming under the spring sun. Emily warmed up backstage, her fingers dancing, her poise growing with every note. Then Jessica and our mother, Patricia, arrived. They hadn't RSVP'd, and their presence threw me off. Jessica was oddly attentive, hovering near Emily's backpack, offering to help with her things. "Let me check her water bottle," she said, her smile too wide. I nodded, distracted, thinking she was finally showing support. Patricia, meanwhile, was aloof, murmuring about Sophie's latest debate win. I brushed it off, focusing on Emily, who was stretching her hands, ready to take the stage. Miss Carter, her teacher, gave her a pep talk, and I whispered, "You've got this, sweetheart." She smiled, then walked out, the spotlight catching her gown as the audience hushed. Emily began flawlessly. Her Rachmaninoff filled the hall, bold and haunting, every note a testament to her strength. I stood in the wings, my heart soaring. For 2 minutes, she was perfect, her music speaking louder than her illness, her fears, or Jessica's doubts. Then something changed. Her tempo wavered, a chord slipped. I frowned, my stomach tightening. Emily never missed notes. She blinked rapidly, her hands trembling on the keys. The audience shifted, sensing something wrong. I gripped the curtain, my breath shallow. "Come on, baby," I whispered, willing her to push through. But her fingers faltered again, the melody fracturing. Her head dipped, and then, oh God, she slumped forward, her hands crashing onto the keys in a discordant wail. The sound echoed, a knife in my chest. I ran to her, my scream tearing through the silence. "Emily!" The audience gasped, chairs scraping as people stood. Ms. Carter reached her first, catching her as she slid off the bench. Emily's face was pale, her breathing ragged. I dropped to my knees, cradling her, my hands shaking. "Stay with me, sweetheart, please." Her pulse was weak, her skin clammy. Paramedics rushed in, their radios crackling, pushing me aside to work on her. I stood frozen, my world narrowing to Emily's still form, the stretcher, the flashing lights. The audience was a blur, their whispers drowned by my pounding heart. Jessica stood nearby, her face blank, but I barely noticed. All I could think was, how did this happen? Time slowed, each second an eternity. I followed the ambulance, my hands gripping the steering wheel, tears blurring the road. At the hospital, nurses whisked Emily away, leaving me in a sterile waiting room, my mind replaying her collapse. I'd watched her take her medication that morning. She'd eaten, rested, done everything right. What went wrong? Guilt clawed at me. Had I missed something, pushed her too hard? The showcase was supposed to be her moment, her chance to soar. Instead, it was a nightmare, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was horribly off. Jessica's betrayal was still hidden then, but the seeds were sown in that moment of chaos. Her jealousy, her need to dim Emily's light, had led to an act so vile it defies forgiveness. This isn't just a revenge story, it's a mother's fight to protect her child against a family that turned against her. Have you ever watched someone you love fall, helpless to stop it? Maybe it was a dream, a moment stolen by forces you didn't see coming. I know that terror, that desperate need to fix what's broken. Emily's music was her heart, and someone tried to silence it. Share your story in the comments, it helps to know we're not alone. Subscribe to hear what Jessica did, because this nightmare was no accident. It was a choice, one that broke us and set us on a path we never imagined. Betrayal cuts deepest when it comes from those you trust most. I'm Laura Bennett, a single mom from Boston, and this is the moment I uncovered the unthinkable truth about my sister Jessica's actions, a truth that turned our family's nightmare into a deliberate act of cruelty. My daughter Emily, 14, a piano prodigy, had collapsed on stage at Berklee College of Music's Young Artists Showcase, her dream shattered mid-performance. Her rare autoimmune condition required daily medication to keep her strong, and I'd watched her take it that morning. Yet, as she lay in a hospital bed, fighting for stability, a discovery revealed a betrayal so vile it still shakes me to my core. In the hospital's sterile waiting room, time dragged, each tick of the clock a reminder of Emily's fragile state. I sat, hands trembling, replaying the recital in my mind, her flawless start, the faltering notes, her collapse. Dr. Carter, her specialist, emerged with a grim expression. "Laura, Emily's blood work shows no trace of her medication, like she missed her dose for 24 hours. My heart stopped. "That's impossible," I said, my voice cracking. "I gave it to her myself." I'd checked her pill case, packed those white tablets with care, as I had every day since her diagnosis at 9. Dr. Carter frowned, suggesting we test the pills. Confusion turned to dread as I handed over Emily's case, my fingers numb. While nurses stabilized Emily, I paced, guilt gnawing at me. Had I mixed up her medication? Was it a pharmacy error? My mind raced, but something felt wrong, a shadow I couldn't name. Jessica and our mother, Patricia, were in the waiting room, Jessica oddly quiet, her eyes avoiding mine. Patricia kept saying, "She'll be fine, Laura, don't overreact." But their presence felt hollow, their concern rehearsed. Then a nurse returned with the pill case, her face tense. "These aren't her medication," she said. "They're sugar tablets." The words hit like a punch. Sugar tablets? My knees buckled, and I gripped the counter, my world tilting. Someone had swapped Emily's pills, and the truth clawed its way to the surface. I turned to Jessica, my voice low, shaking. "What did you do?" She flinched, her composure cracking. Patricia stepped in. "Laura, calm down," but I didn't listen. I demanded answers, my voice rising. Jessica's eyes darted, then she looked away, her silence damning. Finally, she spoke, her voice barely a whisper. "I thought she needed to learn humility," she said. She was too confident, too full of herself. I swapped her pills for one day, just to shake her up. I stared, disbelief turning to rage. "You what?" I shouted, my fists clenched. "You risked her life for humility?" Jessica stammered, "I didn't think she'd collapse. I just wanted her to falter, to learn." Her words were a knife, twisting deeper with every syllable. The hospital hallway blurred as I lunged toward her, Patricia pulling me back. "You could have killed her," I screamed, tears streaming. Jessica's face crumpled, but I saw no remorse, only fear of being caught. I demanded her purse, my hands shaking, and found a folded note inside, her handwriting, detailing her plan to swap the pills, timed for the recital. It was premeditated, calculated, a betrayal so cold it stole my breath. I thrust the note at Patricia, "Look at what your daughter did." But she turned away, muttering, "Jessica didn't mean harm." I couldn't believe it. My own mother, defending this? I ordered them out, my voice raw. "Get out. You're done with us." As they left, I sank into a chair, the note crumpled in my hand. Emily was stable but weak, her body recovering from the shock. I sat by her bed, holding her hand, her breathing soft but steady. She didn't know yet what Jessica had done, and I dreaded the day I'd have to tell her. My sister, someone I'd trusted with my child, had endangered her life over jealousy, over a need to dim her light. The recital wasn't just a performance, it was Emily's heart, her proof she could rise above her illness. Jessica tried to steal that, and I'd failed to protect her. This isn't just a revenge story, it's a reckoning with trust, with family, with the lengths jealousy can drive someone to. I should have seen Jessica's envy, her need to control, but I believed blood meant safety. It didn't. Have you ever been blindsided by someone you loved, their actions shattering your faith? Maybe it was a friend, a sibling, someone whose cruelty caught you off guard. I know that pain, that rage, that guilt for missing the signs. Emily's strength kept us going, but this betrayal changed us forever. Share your story in the comments, it helps to know we're not alone. Subscribe to hear how we faced the aftermath, because this wasn't the end. Jessica's choice sparked a fight I never expected, one for justice, for Emily, for our future. The aftermath of betrayal is a battle for justice and healing. I'm Laura Bennett, a single mom from Boston, and this is how my daughter Emily and I fought to reclaim our lives after my sister Jessica's cruel act. Emily, 14, a piano prodigy, collapsed at her Berkeley recital when Jessica swapped her vital medication for sugar pills, risking her life to teach her humility. The hospital saved Emily, but the scars, emotional, psychological, ran deep. As a mother, I faced a choice: let this break us or fight for what was right. I chose to fight, for Emily, for our future. I filed a restraining order against Jessica and pressed charges for child endangerment. The legal battle was grueling. Jessica pleaded guilty, her law license suspended, sentenced to probation and counseling. But justice felt hollow. My mother, Patricia, defended her, saying, "She didn't mean harm." Her words cut, echoing years of favoritism. I cut ties with them both, a painful but necessary severance. Family isn't blood, it's trust, and they'd shattered mine. Yet, the cost was heavy. Emily lost her grandmother, her aunt, her sense of safety. Emily's recovery was harder. She refused to touch her piano, haunted by her collapse. "I failed, Mom," she'd whisper, her voice broken. She battled PTSD, flinching at loud sounds, avoiding crowds. I blamed myself, replaying every moment I missed Jessica's envy. Could I have stopped this? The guilt was crushing, but I hid it for Emily, finding her a therapist, sitting through her nightmares. We moved to a smaller apartment, a fresh start, but the silence where her music once filled our home was deafening. The community rallied around us. Miss Carter, Emily's teacher, sent letters of support, urging her to play again. Neighbors dropped off meals, sharing stories of their own struggles. But some judged me, saying I'd torn the family apart over a mistake. I stood firm. Emily's life wasn't a mistake to be forgiven. I channeled my anger into advocacy, speaking at local forums about medication safety, turning our pain into purpose. Emily watched, her eyes wary but curious, as I fought for others like her. This isn't just a revenge story, it's about rebuilding from ruins. Jessica's betrayal stole Emily's confidence, but we're clawing it back, note by note. Have you ever had to rebuild after someone broke your trust? Maybe it was family, a friend, a wound that lingered. I know that struggle, that resolve to protect what matters. Emily's silence was my darkest fear, but her strength became my guide. Share your story in the comments, it helps us feel less alone. Subscribe to hear how we found hope again, because this fight wasn't the end. It was a beginning, a path to redefine family as love, not pain.